Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. Today we'll be talking about the upcoming production of the Glass Menagerie here at Troy University. My guests today, Seth Alderman and Noah Williams. Half of the cast of the Glass Menagerie. Not a big production, but it is a Glass Menagerie. As soon as you hear it, you know the title. You know it's a Tennessee Williams play. Many people have studied it, especially college students, whether in high school or here in college. But for those who don't know about it, tell us a little about what the play is all about.
Well, Glass Menagerie was Tennessee Williams' first critical success. It's a play that's set in 1937 St. Louis, Depression era, in a tiny, tiny apartment. It follows a mother and her two children. The son, Tom, works for the family, provides, and tries to get by as he can. The sister is kind of reclusive. She has a limp. She has a physical kind of defect, and that kind of makes her shy away from the public view. And the mother is an old Southern belle, and so it centers around the family and the mother trying to control every aspect of the family's lives, trying to get her daughter a gentleman collar, and trying to make something of the son. The son Tom struggles with trying to separate from just working his life away and trying to do what he wants to do with his life. So,
and you're playing Tom,
yes,
right?
sir.
So that's your role. And then our gentleman caller is sitting here next to you. So now this play, you mentioned it there, and you give the rundown. And a lot of people, as I mentioned earlier, have studied this play, and it's it's almost every English class, probably at some point, someone has come across it. But a lot of people probably have never seen it performed on stage.
Oh, yeah.
So what is it like to be able to translate this work that people have studied for so long to something that you can actually visualize and bring to life?
It can be a lot of, you can have that bit of pressure, because it's something that's been performed and read so many times. It's so well known. Like you can say Glass Menagerie and somebody will be like, I know I've heard that. Like they may not have ever seen it, they may not have remember reading it, but they sure know the name. And so it can be a lot of pressure to live up to those expectations, but it's also a privilege, a pleasure to be a part of something so classic and make something of your own out of it.
And of course, we talk about that half the cast is here on stage with us, and that's the truth. Because you mentioned there, it is such a small cast. Yes. But talk about working with such a small cast, because traditionally, you may have plays that have casts of like 20, 30 people, but just having the four people that, I think there's not a lot to work with there.
Oh, it's amazing. We've worked on, both of us, where there's 30, 40 people on stage. And getting to work on a play, especially one like Glass Menagerie, with four people and a director, you get a lot of time to do really, really clear moment-to-moment work within the scene, and you get to build a rapport with your cast. Close. I mean, we're like family. I know that sounds cliche, but we are.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time together, and in a very intimate setting.
Yes, and we talked about, people have studied it, but there's also been a lot of productions of this. And there's have any of you taken inspiration from some previous productions of this, and maybe in what you've been putting together for this?
We definitely looked at others' performances to take at least mild inspiration from something we liked. And as an actor, that's something you just do. You look at other people's performances and say, I love what they did here. I wonder if I can find that same motivation to do the same thing, and of course you don't want to copy somebody else's work, but yes, that's something we definitely did. At least me personally, I looked at various famous performances of the show and took little pieces from each performance I saw.
And Noah, same with you.
There's plenty of film adaptations. The Malkovich version, tons and tons of performances, Broadway, off-Broadway, regional theaters. But I think that something that struck me when I approached it was, it seems very flat, a lot of these productions, a lot of these performances of this play, and the language is so rich. And I think it lends itself to be more than just that face value flatness. And I think that people who are going to come and see this production are going to really take that away, are really going to remember the language that was used, because it's not just there to be there, it's there to be used. So,
Well, you've got my interest peaked, and maybe some of our viewers, if they want to check out the show, when and where?
It opens next Thursday on the 23rd,
Okay.
and it runs at 7 p.m. until the 25th, and then on the 26th, Sunday, it's a matinee showing at 2:30.
All right. Well, and tickets available, Trojan Center box office
sir.
while they last. Usually, we always, when we bring some of you guys here to talk about this, we always talk about that these productions, the tickets usually
yes.
sell out fast because they're quality productions. And a lot of people are interested in seeing them. So tickets while they last. But guys, break a leg. And
Thank you.
looking forward to checking out myself. Thanks for joining us today.
Sure.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.